Hi, and thank you for your interest in HubShout search marketing tools. In this demonstration, I want to walk you through the internal agency user view and show you how the task management and workflow system works. So the first thing we're going to do is log in as an internal user. And similar to, for those of you who watched the previous demonstration of the client view, similar to the client view, they start on the Home tab. Now, one thing to notice is that unlike the client view, we now have two extra tabs here, one that's labeled Tasks and one that's labeled Admin. And those are where an internal user is going to spend most of their time managing various tasks as well as setting up thresholds and other rules for evaluating a PPC campaign. So let's first take a look at the PPC tab just to familiarize ourselves with what we had talked about in the last demonstration. So again, in the last demonstration we looked at at this particular campaign, but from a client perspective. And in this case, we're now looking at the same information. There's actually, in this particular view, there's no difference here between what a client sees and what you see, or what an agency would see. So let's actually take a look at some of the places where there are differences. So we'll log in and we'll click on the Tasks tab, where we are then taken to our task list. In the center column here, you can see all the tasks that have been generated for this particular campaign, the one we were just looking at a moment ago. And in this case, with the ability over here to filter different tasks. So for example, you have the ability to filter by status, as well as task type. Again, we're primarily looking at paid search, alert tasks, but there also can be reminders for various search optimization or general agency tasks in this particular section. And then finally, whether you're looking at your tasks or all tasks, and then you have the ability to select a campaign where you can view those tasks for that campaign as well. So in this particular case, we are looking at a list, and I'm going to sort this actually, so we're looking at the most current task. So I just clicked on this column, and now we've sorted with the newest task at the top of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this task. Now this is the task view, and the first thing I want to do is actually look at why this task was created. So in the task notes, you can see that for the 5 evaluation criteria that we looked at in this case, this particular task was generated because in the thresholds, which we will also look at in a moment where those are set, in the thresholds we had told the system that we wanted this particular keyword to on average show in position 1.5 or higher, and the system was returning and saying that yesterday for the feed that was received yesterday, the average position was actually 3.3. All of the other thresholds that were set, in this case just one other threshold, we set a threshold saying the click-through rate should be 2%. In this particular case it was 66%. So that obviously was not the reason that it was flagged. Now also in the notes we include some information, campaign details from yesterday. And in this particular case we see there were 3 impressions for this keyword, there were 2 clicks, the cost was $7.98. In this particular case, this client had 0 conversions, and we have a cost per click, and again, nothing for cost per conversion. So when I look at this particular campaign now, this is really where some of the other information on the page becomes useful. On the left-hand column, we actually have 7-day and 30-day trends for those same metrics. So you can see that in the last 7 days there's been 22 impressions for this particular ad, and over the last 30 days 85. You can see the clicks, the click-through rate, both the 7 and 30 day, and then moving down into cost we can look at how our cost per click has changed, total cost has changed, and then if there were again conversion data we would see that here as well. Additionally, I might also want to look at whether there are any related tasks. In this case, it appears that on 12/13 there was a task generated, and I can look at what happened on that day as well. And then along the right side, we have some trend data again, looking at impression trends, again, last 30 days, as well as click-through rate, cost per click, and again conversion rate if it were there. So for this particular case, I need to decide whether I should try to increase the bid price or potentially adjust my threshold. And in this case, I might say that our click-through rate was actually okay, and it's historically been okay. So maybe we would adjust the threshold so that tomorrow it might only look for anything higher than a position 2 would be okay, or maybe even a 3. I can actually add notes to this saying the task is complete. We'll, with some shortcuts here, it will pre-fill in the date, change the status to complete, and I can say adjusted threshold to from 1.5 to 2, and then we might take a look at that one again. So when I click next, we're now going to move to the next task in the task list, and essentially you can work through all of your tasks until you complete your task assignments for that day. Now, you don't have to necessarily close all the tasks. It could be that, for example, we decide that we want to actually assign a particular task out for maybe an ad copy update. So instead of simply completing all tasks, I might change this task progress to in progress. I might actually assign this to someone who works at the company and say, please review this ad copy and look at adding a test. So that person would then, when I click next here or save, in this case I'm going to save it and go back to the inbox, but now that particular task would be now updated and assigned to Ellen for her to review and work through her list. So that is one way of using the workflow for something other than just making immediate changes. Now the other thing I want to talk about is how you actually set the thresholds, because that's obviously very important to the number of tasks and the type of tasks that are generated. So under the Administration tab, you're going to see all of the accounts that you're currently working on or that you currently have access to. On the left-hand side, there are links to the different administration areas, and I'm going to click on PPC Thresholds, and in this case I'm looking again at the same account, and I'm seeing now essentially all of the ad groups in this particular campaign with the ability for me to set thresholds. So typically these types of thresholds would be something that you would work out with your client and potentially review and optimize on a monthly basis, or maybe at the beginning of the campaign you have a goal to establish a certain conversion rate or click-through rate, whatever it might be. We have, in this case, we've also added some financial ones for cost per conversion. We're working on a return on ad spend and other more advanced financial thresholds and rules that we can check. So you would set any of the thresholds. You can see that the one that I updated earlier is reflected here under Experienced Lawyer. I could perhaps update this particular threshold to 2 for average position, submit it, and that would be now saved as a new data element. The administration area is also where you set up incoming feeds for Google and in the future Yahoo and MSN. It's also where you can define and add new users. So one of the features that you have is the ability to add in new users that have access to your accounts, and that's all available here on this particular page. So that is the review of the HubShout PPC management platform here in the tool, and thank you very much for your interest. Please contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.